Hey everyone, welcome back to the Beyond Limits show. And I'm so excited to have this guest with me today. It is honestly a full circle moment for me, and we're going to dive into why. I have been a fan of Nut Bar, I don't know, maybe I was 5, 6 years. And today I have the founder, Kate Taylor Martin. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So let's start off with your journey. Like, tell us about finding Nut Bar, like how the inspiration came to you. I know you started in like a basement in 2017. Must feel like eons ago. How did it all come about? Did you wake up one day and was like, I want to do this thing?
No, not at all. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur, let alone an entrepreneur in the food space. That was not part of the plan or vision or even part of my education or exposure growing up. I think it's funny, often in hindsight, you can kind of put together some of the pieces that got you to where you are. And I think a big one for me is this idea of being in front of people and creating a community. Like if I think about the common thread all the way through to my childhood, that was it. And I often tell the story that for my 10th birthday, I asked for a cash register, asked my mom to get a cash register. And back then it wasn't an iPad. It was like a big clunky cash register. So my mom said she had to get the yellow pages and flip through and try and find a used cash register. But I got this cash register and I put it in my bedroom and I labeled everything in my room with a price tag, and I would get my siblings to shop my bedroom. And I remember the feeling of being at the cash and, checking them out and saying like, how was your day? What can I get you? What did you like last time? And being so lit up by this feeling of creating a space that people would come to every day and you could connect face to face and just have this cozy hub.
Yeah.
And then I went to school. I did a double major in English and psychology, nothing to do with a business or food or entrepreneurship. But it was really after university, I was working at St. Mike's Hospital. And, I think being really immersed into a healthcare setting, you realize very quickly how unsustainable our healthcare system is and how sick a lot of people are. And certainly there's a lot of reasons for that. But one of the big reasons, I think, is because of the food we're fueling ourselves with. And if you look really at most corners of big cities, every morning there's a lineup of people getting their heavily refined white sugar, white flour, donuts, muffins, scones, croissants, bagels, every single day. And I just felt this call to learn more about how to take care of myself, to do whatever I could to not end up in a hospital bed if I could take matters into my own hands. And so I enrolled in the Institute of Holistic Nutrition and did that part-time nights while I was still working at the hospital. And, I think many of us have that feeling when you come face to face with something that you are meant to be doing, a purpose, a passion, and you just feel lit up inside. Like I remember going into those classes and sitting with those people and just felt like this excitement and this joy and this energy about learning about these beautiful superfoods and, nature's medicines. How have humans been taking care of themselves for thousands and thousands of years? And I could just feel this like wave kind of bubbling up inside of me of this isn't going to be just like a passion. I want this to be my life's work. And so slowly, one of the school projects was like, once you graduate, come up with a project idea of what you want to do after. And I remember having my little vision board and cutting and pasting cute cafes and certain menu items. And I could just like viscerally feel what this beautiful, healthy coffee shop could feel like. And it's so funny, like slowly one foot in front of the other, here I am today. But yeah, it really started with learning about holistic nutrition and a holistic lifestyle and just how good humans are meant to feel. And I think often we forget that like health isn't just the absence of disease.
Yes.
We are meant to feel amazing and vibrant and joyful and have deep, long, restful sleeps and wake up in the morning feeling energized. And modern day life is very stressful and there's a lot coming at us. And unless we are taking the time to sort of consciously fill our cup and protect us a little bit from all the things that are sort of anti-nature, buzzes from your phone and pings and artificial light and artificial noise and pesticides in your food and toxins in your skincare products. Like it's so overwhelming that I think in order to tap into that real vibrancy within us, we kind of have to figure out how to arm ourselves to be able to handle modern day life. So that was really the impetus to start Nutbar 8.5 years ago.
Wow, I love all of that. I mean, I love how intentional also, because of your background in the nutrition, it sounds like Nutbar's menu was built very intentionally as this like place where you can go, you can get your drinks, your coffees, or this or that, and you know everything there is healthy for you. It's going to help you thrive. It's going to be good for your body. And of course, it's going to taste good too, which I think a lot of people want those easy choices that they can walk into somewhere like that and they can have all these beautiful foods. They can have these wonderful drinks that are supporting them mentally, physically, emotionally, but also taste great as well.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So the first point about having the high quality component of this, that was kind of at the center of the idea for Nutbar. Like, I think because I came at it from a nutrition perspective, not a business point of view, I was so committed to offering the highest quality, most nutrient dense food, because that was my why, right? Like the reason I wanted to start this business is to put these exceptionally nutrient dense, beautiful, healing foods out into the world. And so, you know, that I think is what has kind of continued to be the common thread with Nutbar to today, is that there's a lot of integrity and transparency and quality behind everything we do, because otherwise, like, I don't want to be doing this. I don't want to just run a business for the sake of running a business. I feel like I have an overflowing amount of passion for what I do because it is rooted in so much desire to help people feel good. Because I also think like the ripple effect of that is so beautiful. Like if you can really help people tune into their feel goodness and their power, you know, you think about how they show up differently as a parent, as a friend, as a coworker. Like it's just such a beautiful frequency that can vibrate out into the world. And then the taste thing is it's funny. I think people really want to eat well, but they don't unless it tastes good. Yeah. You know, you can have like a salad with tofu and cucumber maybe once, and you're like, I feel really good, but it's not satisfying. It's not eliciting kind of that really feel good response. And so taste was really, really important from the beginning. Like the product had to be unbelievably craveable. And the funny thing is, feeling good is addictive. Yeah. So, you know, when I say craveable, like there's so many other things, like you hear about these food scientists who are manipulating chips to stimulate certain brain neurons to make them as craveable as possible. But on the other side of that, if you have the cleanest, organic, whole, nutrient dense food, first of all, it's inherently delicious. But also when I talk about craveability, like when you eat something that makes you feel really energized and clean and not bloated and vibrant, you want that again and again. And you realize how rare that is to get on the go.
Oh, I'm just going to say, you can definitely crave Nutbar. My fiance is sitting off camera now. He'll know, like, just want some Nutbar. Like, it is a craving. And I want to gush on your menu. I want to know, like, what were the first things you created? And then I want to talk to you about my love of Nutbar, because it's famous in my world in the drink. So, like, what were the first things that you were making? Because the Nutbar latte is the best, I'm just going to say it, in the world. Like, it is so good. It is famous with my clients. They know that the Nutbar latte, it was like famous for me when I was on my manifestation journey. My fiance knows it's like famous, like the chocachino, the blue lemonade, the chocolate smoothie bowls. Like when we first started dating, we fell in love with them, and then we can make them into like the bowls, which is so, like, everything is delicious. The matcha, best I've ever had. And I've been to other, you know, wellness cafes in New York and LA, and honestly, nothing touches Nutbar. Like, I just need to be really honest. It's the best. So like, how did you make these? Were you in your basement making these recipes? Is it you? Like,
okay,
Nutbar
first of all, thank you. And I'm going to cut that clip and run it as an ad.
Full permission to use it.
Thank you. That's really lovely to say. And I agree. I agree. And first of all, I have to agree because, I'm the one kind of leading the charge, but I do think that there are very, very few things that compare to what we're doing because first of all, it's really difficult. Like anybody who's just looking to run a business, they're not doing this. Organic food is insanely expensive. The fact that we make our own nut milk from scratch is the biggest, craziest labor of love. Like we get these giant pallets of organic nuts that we pre-soak so that there's maximum nutrient absorbability. And then we carefully put them in these giant blenders and strain the milk. It's 30% organic nuts, whereas the average box nut milk is only 2% nuts with none of the gums, fillers, preservatives, stabilizers, anything else in it. So it is a real commitment. It takes a lot of, constantly kind of coming back to our compass and being like, why are we making these decisions? Why do we have a business? Because all the factors are telling us to do something different because it's easier and cheaper. But to your point, I think people notice it tastes different. It feels different in your body. And it's a level of quality that you just can't find anywhere else. So in terms of the recipes, when I was learning about all these beautiful superfoods at school, I was so inspired to start testing them in my kitchen. So, I learned that chia seeds used to fuel ancient Aztec runners for really long distance runs. And chia seeds are these incredibly nutrient dense little powerhouses. Like they look like a fleck of dirt, and they're full of protein and healthy fats and antioxidants, and they're just unbelievable. And so I would come home and, experiment with all different kinds of chia puddings or little bites or smoothies. And, chia seeds are one example, but we know all the superfoods like Blue Magic and E3 Live and ashwagandha and astragalus and all these wonderful quirky superfoods. And I just honestly tested a million times. Like I gave my friends, I had focus groups. I would make little boxes for friends and family. I would try smoothies 100 different times, with a little more vanilla, a little less ice. The vanilla smoothie was one of my first menu items where I'm like, I know this is going to be popular. Like it tastes like a vanilla milkshake. It's so delicious. And so that was kind of the vanilla smoothie was probably the first thing that I had on the menu. And also the sweet toast, which is, we don't actually have it anymore, but we need to bring it back. It's coconut butter, almond butter, banana, chia seeds, hemp seeds, and a little bit of honey drizzle. And those two things, I was like, these are really nutrient dense, but they taste like you're having a really indulgent, satisfying breakfast. And the other thing about the menu is I knew I didn't want to open a full-scale restaurant. So that was kind of always a compass I kept coming back to. Like anytime I felt tempted to do, more salads or something a little bit more robust, I was like, we need to stay in our lane, which is a healthy coffee shop concept. So a lot of people are like, you should have more protein or a chicken or something, but we don't even have a hood range in the back. So we're limited by what we can do. And I actually think that served us. Like it's very clear what position we occupy in the market. And I always say I think it's something like 85% of Canadians get their coffee or tea outside the home every day. And that's the gap that we want to fill. Like a place where it's largely on the go and you can get a coffee or a tea, but exceptionally elevated. And then instead of the donut, muffin, croissant, scone, bagel, it's a really healthy toast, a chia pudding, our little bite or bar, our OMG oat. So it's that kind of behavior pattern.
There's so much I want to dive into what you said, but first, I actually want to commend you on the integrity of your barmilk. I think that's also probably why the lattes and the smoothies taste so delicious. But I have found that sometimes as brands grow, and we'll dive into how Nut Bar has kind of grown into so many different locations, they have cheapened out. Their quality does change. And I've seen, unfortunately, so many wellness brands, whether it was an actual, store or a product, they start using cheaper ingredients and it does not taste the same as it first did. And I get disappointed. And as a consumer, I actually stop purchasing them. And I'm just like, wow, that's really sad. So I want to commend you on that. But B, I also think, for people who are going to Nut Bar, people like me, we value and appreciate the integrity that you have in it. And we're invested in that. And we want it without the gums and the stabilizers. We want the quality. So A, to commend you, but B, I think there's also more and more people are now becoming aware of those things, and it's becoming a value for people in their health, in their life, in the things that they are consuming.
So what's funny is when I was first starting Nut Bar, probably 6 months before we opened our first location, And at that point I was working on like brand book, mission, vision, values. And I remember a friend came up to me and they're like, so what's your competitive advantage? Like, how are you different from X? They named another similar concept to us in Toronto. And I remember sitting there being like, I don't know if I can swear.
Yeah, you can.
What is our, I know it's going to be beautiful, a beautiful space. And I know I kind of am considering like mind, body, spirit. And I know feel good here is our tagline and that's important, but it felt a little muddled. And I was really trying to tease that out. And through the years, it's just like crystal clear what sets us apart is this unwavering commitment to quality. Like that is our competitive advantage. That's the soul of the brand. That is, I think, like kind of the roots of what has allowed us to grow. It's the thing that connects our community together. I think it's allowed people to trust our brand, which, in this day and age when every brand is just trying to sell you something and we're just bombarded by sales and people trying to get us to purchase things. Trust is being eroded as a result because how can you know who to trust? And it just feels like everyone's trying to get our attention and our money. And I think what has allowed nutbar to elevate above that noise is that 8 years in, we haven't changed. And so people can trust us. And I think there's a lot of magic in that when you're a brand in terms of helping to actually build the brand, everyone talks about building community, but how do you build community? If you actually think about it, how do you get people to rally around? At the end of the day, it's a smoothie. Like, sometimes I think it's kind of crazy to think about a brand around a drink, but it's more than that. Like it's an expression of values. It's tapping into something very primal about how we feel. It's, there's like a frequency I hope that people feel with our brand of like goodness and integrity. And, when you talk about how have we not compromised as we've grown, it's just not an option. Like it's not part of what I'm doing or why I'm doing this. And no amount of locations or money or any of this could entice me otherwise, because I just don't care about anything other than looking at myself in the mirror every day and being like, I feel really, really good about what I'm putting out into the world and doing what I said I was going to do. It just feels kind of like a non-negotiable that truly feels like at the heart of what matters to me and what I'm trying to infuse in this company. And I think it's exciting to be able to do things in a different way. Like, as you said, it's very, very hard. And I will say that every single metric is telling us that we should do something different, but I just know, okay, we could all of a sudden switch and have our food not organic and people might even not notice, but like over time, even if that means X number of profits now, it's just eroding the brand. And so, yeah, it's not going to change.
And I think brand loyalty is so huge because your focus is so much on community that when you have that loyalty, if you don't have loyalty, then what we can happen, like you said, like there is, I think it was the Toronto Star that said a cult following, but like you don't want to use the word cult following, but there is like, there's a community around like nutbar and nutbar smoothies and your matcha. Like there is a whole brand presence. And I'd love to be able to, dive into that because I'm sure, yes, like there's ingredients and it all tastes good, but there's also like a brand presence around nutbar. It's like its own entity. I want to dive into like how you've kind of cultivated that along with like, I know your ingredients and your intentionality and integrity, but really into creating that community where it is like a vibe. Like nutbar is a vibe in and of itself. In addition to the fact that we also have delicious tasting stuff that is good for us. It's also something that you want to be a part of. It's something that like, oh, I want to get my nutbar. I want my trail mix cookie, which I didn't mention yet, but it's delicious. Or my lemon poppy seed bite. As we can see, I'm a fan. So yeah, dive into like how you've kind of viewed nutbar in terms of like your brand presence, because that's something I feel like you're very strong in.
Thank you. Yeah, that piece has been important from the beginning, because I think that just is what helps a company grow, is having a very strong brand, which I think comes down to the why. If you kind of tease away all the noise, it's like at the center of it is the why, which I always talk about nutbar as having a soul. And so decisions that we make are like, is this congruent with our values, with the frequency of an energy that we want to put out into the world? Is it in alignment with how we want to show up, like all those kind of like values questions are things that we ask ourselves with every single decision. So every like brand partner that comes to us for a collab, every person that we hire, because all of that matters. Like it contributes to a frequency that the brand is putting out. And so I keep talking about this idea of compass, but like every decision that we make kind of is filtered through this lens of, is this the way that we want to do business? Is this the type of thing that we want to put out into the world? Like, I really feel like if you could see behind the curtain, we just do business in a different way. Like, the way that we think about our team, the way that we treat our employees, the way that we, consider our business relationships, like there's just an integrity there. And in terms of the brand itself, I think eliciting or trying to tap into eliciting emotion with the way that people experience a brand has been important since the beginning. So as I said, and I tell this to our team, we onboard them all the time. It's not just about, for them, it's not just about making a smoothie and handing it over. And for our consumer, hopefully it's not just about filling your stomach with a liquid. It's like, we're trying to cultivate an emotional response to coming into Nut Bar and fueling yourself. So how does the ambiance make you feel? How did the customer service interaction make you feel? How do you feel when you consume the drink? How do you feel when you open up Instagram and you see a post of the brand? Like, it's really tapping into an emotional component of that. And as I said, what I think is really helping us is that I'm not doing that for like a business metric. Like, as I even say that, I'm not like, because if we can elicit emotion, that means like X in terms of revenue, or like, it's not transactional, genuinely. It's like, I'm talking about emotion because I think that it matters and it makes a difference if you can tap into a different frequency in people and elicit a really positive emotion in a daily behavior. Like, I actually believe that it can provide a moment of joy. It makes people show up in a different way. We did something recently on Instagram where I asked people to share if they had any memorable Nut Bar stories. We're going to do kind of a marketing thing with it. And like, some of the stories are so beautiful and heartwarming, and emotion is kind of at the center of it, right? Like, people who have had incredibly difficult surgeries or health journeys, and they were like, Nut Bar was literally the bright spot in my day, or, the moment that I looked forward to, or they had a friend who was going through a hard time and they sent a gift basket and they were like, what this meant to me, or, somebody who had moved here from a different city and they found community at Nut Bar, just like human stories. And so that's what excites me more than anything else. It's just a really, I hope, kind of beautiful thing that we're trying to put out into the world.
Oh, I think that genuineness 100% comes across. Like, you can feel that you're not doing it from transaction. You're doing it, like, honestly from love. It feels like very warm, and it doesn't even, when I walk into what bar? When I walk into Nut Bar, it's very genuine. Like, the people, it feels like they're not like forced to be like polite or nice. Like, it actually feels like walking into a warm environment. And to add to that story, I can tell you that I definitely fell in love over chocolate, smoothie bowls with my fiance, because like, that was something we first started dating. We'd always get the chocolate smoothie bowls, and we'd go down to the beaches and we'd eat them. Like, it's part of our relationship. Even the Nut Bar latte, he knows that was a thing to get me. Like, I can see how Nut Bar actually becomes in such like important pieces of people's life. And you may not think, like you were saying, it's a smoothie, it's a coffee, but it's like, no, it's actually there in so many different important things in people's lives. And maybe sometimes they're sick and they're feeling better. Maybe they're falling in love, or they're meeting friends and they're getting community. I feel like I have full body chills when I hear about all these stories in Nut Bar. And like, that's important, and that's what you're doing. And I think sometimes feel like people maybe think that they can't do both, but I want to dive into now the fact that, like, let's celebrate you just opened in Yorkville again. So I love that you're this passionate, you're this genuine, you're this intentional, and there's growth. And I feel like maybe people make these decisions because they feel like they can't have both. But I'm a firm believer, I feel like if you choose integrity, like, you're always going to win, and you play the long term. And I'm sure we can speak to this from your perspective of that long-term gain. Now you're in Yorkville, and I used to go to your Summerhill one, and I don't know if it's like 5 or 6 locations. Like, it's possible to have both. And I think so much of your love and intention behind it is the reason that the brand has also grown the way it has and that you can have it all in a brand.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that, because I think you're right. People often think in order to be successful, you need to be a certain way. And I've been through the entire journey. Like, I remember when I started and I'd have these like really intense calls with, you know, different people from different industries. Like, I remember at the beginning with a contractor who was kind of screwing us around, and I remember talking to him, and my natural inclination was to be...
Try to talk in the mic a little bit. I lost you because you're sliding a little this way. But yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay. Do you want me to start?
Just start again, just in case.
The answer. Okay, thank you for saying that, because I think often people think it needs to be one way or the other. And I've been certainly through the journey. I remember when we first opened and I was having a conversation with a contractor, and, you know, we were kind of debating over this really complicated thing. And I remember feeling in my body like, I need to harness like a more male energy. I need to be more aggressive, or else he's not going to take me seriously. And I kind of like, I don't know, I felt like an imposter syndrome. And reflecting on that is so interesting, because I actually think now my superpower is being able to be a very heart-centered leader. And that doesn't mean that you're not effective, or that you're not clear, or that you can't have, you know, that you can't be an effective leader. But you can do that with grace and humility and being heart-centered. And so I think the first thing is anybody who's listening and thinking about doing a journey, it's like you know, this word authenticity is so overused, but it is like tuning into what makes you special. Like, what can you offer, or when you are your most genuine, your most authentic, your most in alignment, what does that look like for you? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the frequency that you need to lead from. And I think when you do that, when you figure out, you know, I described it recently to my husband as like, through this journey, and certainly in the last couple of years, I feel like before it was as if, you know, that feeling when you're putting on a record and like you're kind of getting the dial and it's a little bit fuzzy, and then you hit it and the song is so clear.
Yes.
That feels like a metaphor for me in the last couple of years, where something hit and I just feel complete alignment with how I'm living my life. And the abundance, and I don't mean like necessarily financial, just abundance in terms of the right location being gifted to me at the right time, you know, the perfect team member falling into our lap at the right time. Just so much joy and abundance and goodness has come to us when I have completely and unabashedly leaned into who I am, what my purpose is, what lights me up, and been living, so me and the business in complete alignment. It feels effortless, honestly. And sometimes it's hard to say that, because I don't want it to make it seem like it's not without a lot of hard work. Mm-hmm. But there's a difference between like it feeling like a burden and kind of grinding through this and like just feels like you're going through sludge, versus what we're doing. And I honestly have like goosebumps. It feels like the most beautiful unfolding of this like big, you know, mission driven thing that we're trying to launch into the world, that's just like it's being allowed to happen, I think, because all the different components of it are in alignment with what we say we're doing. And you know, not to get too woo of talking about frequency, but like I think that there's really something to that when you can elevate the frequency of certainly yourself as a leader, because I think that trickles all the way down. But you know, the company, so how we're communicating with people, how we're treating our brand partners, how we're treating our customers, like the why, the soul, all these things that I'm talking about, I really hope that they are, you know, doing what I feel they're doing, is kind of elevating a frequency above the noise, above the like thing that we talked about before, the like sales and the tactics and the things that suck your energy. We're actually trying to do the opposite. And when that happens, and when you get complete clarity, and when you can tap into that, and when you're not trying to be somebody else, I know firsthand that it just happens. So
I'm smiling so much because everything you're saying is aligned essentially with what I, you know, teach and mentor women about, is the fact that, yeah, it can feel effortless. It doesn't mean there aren't challenges or it's not work, but it doesn't feel, like you said, like a burden or a grind. It is an allowing, and it's just a beautiful unfolding. So I find it so funny because I don't think you know much about me or what I do. I'm like, yep, we're very aligned in terms of that heart-centered, mission-led women, that it can be this beautiful unfolding. It is just an authentic expression of you out into the world. And that's going to be the most natural, effortless, like locations out of nowhere. And it's so funny that you say that. I remember when I lived closer to Yorkville, I would walk by like where Nut Bar is now, in that old coffee shop, and I would always think, I'm like, I wish there was like a Nut Bar right here. And now
you called it in for us.
I was like, a couple years too late. I wish I still lived here. But like, it's so funny how when you allow yourself to kind of like stay in that alignment and you choose your alignment. I'm sure there's been kind of like pivotal points where you had to choose your alignment over maybe noise around you, or where it quote unquote didn't make sense, but you stayed true to that and you followed that, and like, look at everything that's happened.
Yeah. Sometimes I just sit in like complete wonder and awe of being like, this is a wild journey. Like, it's just, it feels way bigger than myself, honestly. And what you just said about getting clear, like, I think it's really important for people to get clear on what matters to them. So what matters, what I always use the example of, imagine you're on your deathbed and hopefully you're 95 and you're looking back at your life. What do you hope you can see or say about it? And I think especially running a business, there's so much noise around like bigger is better and faster. But like, is that, and it might be, but just being in consideration of what is actually important. For me, as I said, like, I could probably have grown way bigger and faster if I had taken outside investment, had other people kind of making decisions for me. I would have been run by, I don't know, maybe a VC or somebody who gave me a lot of money, but then kind of told me to do what locations and when, and I probably needed to cut costs, but maybe now I would have had 25 locations instead of 6, but I don't care. That doesn't mean anything to me. And it's actually the same thing I often think about me in motherhood. Like, I had to get so clear about how I was going to do both. And I kept using that lens of like, I'm 95 and I'm looking back on this like incredibly joyful but busy chapter of my life. What do I want to be able to say about this? And like, I just had this thing in my body where it's like, I can't miss these years with my kids. Like right now, my kids are 3, 5, and 7. I found out I was pregnant with my son, Freddie, the week we opened up our Summerhill. And so I never had a choice not to be a business owner and a mom at the same time. But I, from day one, was like, I can't lean so far into business that I've completely leaned out of motherhood. It's just like, it doesn't work. And when we talk about that alignment thing, that would just feel bad in my body. And I think as a result, there'd be like friction in what we're doing, in what I'm trying to do, because that's not in alignment with who I am. So getting really clear on that has made me make certain decisions, and make my priorities in a certain way. But it's the best because it's the best for me. So it might not be the best for somebody else, but like, I look at my life and I'm like, I actually have a dream life. I'm a present mom and I'm running a business that I believe in and I love the way that I want to. And it feels kind of like a different maybe paradigm than we're used to, because again, it's hard. It's easy to, we've had a few people who are interested in the business, and it'd be so easy to be like, yeah, take half my business, give me some money so I can open 10 new locations. But like, then what? Yeah. So I love that question. And I think it's important that people take some time and sort of do the deep digging of what matters to you.
I can't believe with the, like, being a mom, being pregnant, and then opening Summerhill, like, that is immediate. I'd love to dive into like how you kind of had 3 kids / being pregnant and opening the first location, how that all was for you, and what you would say to maybe moms who either are in business now or are looking to start something, but they feel like maybe they can't do both, or like, as someone who's actually been through it, how would you speak to doing both and having it be successful and also be present?
It's not easy. And I don't know if you can do either one, like you can't do both full on. And so the example for me with that is, if I didn't care as much about being a present mom, I would probably have double the amount of locations right now. But that isn't success to me. So, I think it's getting, again, clear on what is success for you.
Yeah, what's the priority?
Like, some women, which is amazing, are very, very driven. And at this stage in their life, their career matters so much. So for them, it feels really good to lean 100% into work. Amazing. Some women have children. They're like, I literally could not imagine going back to work. I want to be a full-time mom. That's so great. Just whatever it is that is going to light you up, is going to fill your tank, is going to make you feel like you're living a life that is what you actually want to be doing, is going to work for you. But it's crazy. Like it's almost a joke for people to try and do both. Like, you know, I had to have 3 C-sections. I had a C-section. Wow. My daughter was 6. My second born was 6 days old, and we were opening Nutbar Leslieville. And so I came to do a team training with 20 people. It was like an 8-hour day team training. I had a 6-day-old baby and a fresh C-section. And I remember kind of feeding her, and they would take their break and I would turn and nurse her. And I'm like, this is wild. And what's interesting about that story is through that period, so many people were like, oh my God, you're super mom. And I would come home at night and just be like so exhausted and drained and holding onto this little baby and being stressed about the location opening. I'm like, is this a super mom? Like or is the super mom the mom who's like cocooning in her bedroom for 3 months with a newborn and like shutting out the world and just doing that? Or is the super mom, you know, maybe it's just funny, all the kind of expectations and labels and challenges that go along with trying to do both. There's no easy answer, but support. Like my mom is very hands-on. I have a really hands-on husband, and yeah, I think I just have gotten really good at seeing what matters to me. And you know, there's no balance every day. What I always say is like, can I just look at my life as being balanced? Yeah. So when we open a new location, we just opened Yorkville, and I like to work cash for like the first couple of weeks when we open a new location. And I don't see my kids a lot during that. And it doesn't feel great, but like, I know I have to really lean into that for a little bit, and then I'll lean the other way. So not putting too much pressure on you of, is my day balanced? Is my week balanced? But when you kind of can zoom up and do that bird's eye view, is my life balanced? I think is a great tool for women.
Yeah, I think especially what you said about the day, because otherwise you're trying to juggle too many hours of the day of like, did I make sure to do enough work and enough, you know, time with the kids? But if you look at it overall, it's probably all going to even out. But I think also the biggest thing you said about the permission, that maybe enough women don't give themselves permission to be true to what they want, and letting that not only be enough, but let that be perfect. That for some women, it might be 100% stay-at-home mom, you know, and that's beautiful and that's perfect. And for other people, it's, you know, 100% career, or maybe whatever it is in the middle, 60-40, 80-20, doesn't matter. But staying true to that for you, and not maybe like comparing or needing it to be something different, I think is also how you're going to feel the most fulfilled, versus if you feel like you're pushing in your business, or, you know, sorry, there's a fly. Or to feel like you're pushing in your business, but then you feel bad about like losing time with your kids, or maybe you actually want to be working. Like I've had moms who want to actually do stuff in their business and be mom, and that's perfect. But finding and honoring that balance for you and giving yourself that permission to live in that authentic way, like you said, will make you feel the most successful, whatever that looks like.
For sure. And it's also worth acknowledging that's definitely a privilege to be able to sit in consideration of what do I want and how can I make this work. You know, I think that there are a lot of women who don't really have a choice. They might want to be with their kids more and they just can't. They have to go back to work. So recognizing like it is a privilege to be in a position to kind of consider options. But I think if that is available to you, it is important to just to go through that kind of mental experiment.
So I have a burning question that I want to ask before we kind of like tie this up. What is your favorite menu item at Nutbar?
Oh my God, the hard-hitting
questions.
If it's
not an all-time, it could be like your current.
Okay, I'll tell you what I get.
Okay. Oh my God, I would love this.
Most days. Okay. Most days I get a green smoothie with mango, sea moss gel, spirulina, and protein powder. And that's like just to get a heaping cup of organic greens in the morning. Like I feel like if I'm there, I'm always like, I just want my greens in, and then I can kind of focus on something else for the rest of the day. So that's like, I would say 90% of the time that I'm in Nutbar, I'm getting that. I am obsessed with the lemon glow smoothie. I'm obsessed with the vitamin C smoothie, add protein powder. It's like super gingery, but then is a little bit creamy. I think the strawberries and cream chia, or I think it's actually called berries and cream, is like maybe the best menu item on the planet.
No,
it is. Like the strawberry jam that we make is a huge heaping bowl of organic local strawberries that we mash into a jam and just put a tiny bit of maple syrup in it. Like, it's so delicious. The chia pudding is our barmilk and chia. Like, it is a boost of nutrients. It makes you feel so good after. And like, often I'm eating a bite at home. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever eaten in my life. That's amazing. Okay, I'll tell you 2 more before I just go through the whole menu. Chickpea chopped salad right now. I love. So have you had it?
No.
Oh, you have to have it. It again makes you feel so good. we make like a house-made sauerkraut. It's really good for gut health and just like vibrant and greens and amazing. And then the salted date caramel and tahini toast. Have you had that?
No. I love how you're naming all the things I have never.
Oh
I
my
must have tried
God.
everything else
No.
on the menu, but all the things.
Like,
you're
do we
naming
need to
right now.
go right now? It's incredible. Like, it's a house-made light tahini whip with a house-made date caramel. It's not too sweet. It's incredible. I just had it before I came here. The vitamin C with protein and the salted date caramel toast.
I love how, now I have all these new menu things to try.
Yeah.
Do that again. Just fly. Amazing. Now I have all these new menu things to try next time I go to Nutbar. So what's next for Nutbar? Like, what is like the vision or what like you feel called to share in terms of where you feel like you're taking it?
Okay. I keep saying this aloud just because I think when you say something out loud and plant seeds, it just
1000%.
happens.
You're on the right podcast. We're woo here.
Right? So I'm planting the seed for New York.
Okay. I have been thinking, I'm like, why is Nutbar not in New York? Last time I was in New York, I was like, why is Nutbar not in New York? I saw someone else from Toronto opening a New York location, and I'm like, why is Nutbar not here?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to like really pulse the field for you. Nutbar New York is happening, and I will go there for the opening. Let me just put there.
Okay.
You're going to open it, and I will be there when Nutbar opens in New York.
I'm holding you to that.
1000%.
So my brother owns or is co-founder of the business Othership, and they just opened 2 locations in New York. They're about to open a 3rd, and it's really cool being in this relationship with this other business as we kind of are expanders for each other at different moments in time, and seeing them do New York is just a big expander. It levels me up kind of. I'm like, oh, if they can do it, we can do it. And it feels a little frictionless. Like, my plan is let them go build community and then we'll just slip in beside them. But going back to the thing I said earlier about kids, I haven't wanted to do it up until now because I'm like, how am I leaving like an 18-month-old? Like, I can't leave a kid, and it's going to take a lot more of me being there physically than a Toronto location. So it hasn't felt right until now, but something's brewing. It's feeling like it's time, perhaps. So stay tuned.
I couldn't agree more. I'm so excited for you, for Nutbar. I will always be cheering you on because, like I said, I just, not only the ingredients and the, taste, but just the company, and now like getting to sit down and meet with you. I feel like I've fallen in love with Nutbar even more. And my fiance will be hearing how we're going to go after this recording because now I'm definitely craving Nutbar again. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your story, to come on the podcast and just really be an example for women that are heart-centered leadership and mission-led and, doing incredible things in this world. Yeah, just thank you.
Well, thank you for the words. I can tell that you mean what you're saying. And like, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, what's better than this? Being able to put something out that like is resonating with somebody and making them feel good. And I just really appreciate your words. So thanks for having me.
Thanks. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Beyond Limits podcast, and we will see you in the next episode.